I want to talk about awakening or waking up, and I want to try and talk about it really simply. So let's use the example of waking up in the morning. You've been dreaming and you wake up and you see that it was all a dream. And the same could be said for in the waking state. You literally just wake up from a mental dream. We live in this, normally we live in this state where we think that my life is real, my life is to do with things, people, my own ideas of myself, who I am, where I'm going, where I've been. And we hold on to it and we fight with it and we concern ourselves with this and that. And we live in a mental state. We believe what we hear on the box, in the room. We believe what we're told by governments, friends, family, what we've learned, what we've been taught, religions. We believe all this to be true and that this is important, that this is who we are. My opinions I hold. I'm right, I'm wrong, you're right, you're wrong. And we live in this mental construct. It's like a bubble of thought. Excuse me. A bubble of thought running around and around and around in the head all the time. That's the sleeping state. And it will defend itself, this sleeping state. It will hold on to its ideals and its beliefs. And God forbid anybody challenging that state, that belief. Waking up from that is literally realizing that none of it's real. None of it is real. We can't say what the real is, but the head reality is not real because it's constantly in flux. Do you still hold the same beliefs that you had a year ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago? Beliefs as a child? Well, no, they all change. They all move into something else, but it's still the same dream of belief. To wake up from that is to literally to realize that none of it's true. Is not to look for the true. I think that's where the confusion happens. We look for the true rather than looking at the untrue. Now, there's a paradox in that because it's effortless to just be. And yet there is a bit of amount of effort to look at the untrue, to look at the cognitive dissonance that is the personality. It takes some gumption and it takes some effort to look at it, to see it, because we do live in a cognitive dissonance, in a kind of a mass formation. We all club together in nice little clubs, whatever that club is, whether it's social, religion, philosophical. They're all clubs and they all center around a pillar of teaching. And we defend it. We defend that central pillar. And the thing is to look at the pillar and see that it is just a pillar of belief. And it's ironic because it requires effortlessness and yet effort. It's such a paradox. It is possible that that we can just, suddenly it can just happen to someone where it just goes poof. That can happen, yeah. But not much. I haven't really met anyone who that's happened to. Not really. And people who say this has happened to, I've still found them defending their beliefs. If you've got something to defend, why does it need defending, really? Who is there to defend it? It's a construct. Living peacefully, just being, simply being, the effortlessness of being, because it doesn't require any effort for the being to be, because it just is the central. It is what it is. It is the is of life, you can say. That doesn't need defending. It's obvious. If you say to anybody, "Are you alive?" they'll say yes. And I'm not going to talk around the idea of aliveness. I just want to get the idea across. I don't really want to go into semantics on that point. But just being doesn't need defending. It doesn't need a belief. It doesn't need a teaching. But the dream state, which is, many can argue, yes, but that's being. But it isn't really. It isn't, because we fight against it. We don't want it. We don't want that self that is constantly looking, seeking, in pain, defending, arguing, crying, in pain. We don't want that. And all that stuff is all the machinations of that stuff is belief. It's a construct. And the construct just puts us to sleep. It makes us go unconscious. We walk around in a dream world, thinking about stuff as if it's real, as if it's happening to me, as if I'm in control of that stuff. There's no one in control of the dream state. The dream state is just a dream state. You can't control the dream state from within the dream state, but you can look at it with your intelligence and look at that realm of the dream. And it might pop. It might pop. It might pop and then reform, because that's how it seems to work. So yeah, it takes some effort to look at it. And yet the looking is done effortlessly. Let me see if I can explain what I mean by that. What looks at it is being. It has no thought. It's just pure intelligence. Absolutely pure. Eternal. You can't get to being through thought or effort. That doesn't work. That's why all the seeking and hankering after the effortless doesn't work. What you are is effortless. What you are is the being. Is being, not the being. Being. I'm everything. I'm all of it. Without an I. So that can't be got to through effort. It's the other way around. It's having the courage and the wherewithal, the intelligence to look at the dream state. When you're in the dream, of course, you can't look at it. It's impossible. You can't look within it when you're in it. It's almost like lucid dreaming, you could say. It's like you wake up in the dream and you go, it's a dream. You're kind of divorced from it. But then you go back into the dream again. But it is possible to become the lucid dreamer. And then life flows pretty much effortlessly. It doesn't mean that situations don't occur, because they do. But it's that self-centeredness, that defensive, self-protecting state that keeps us asleep. But it's all within the dream state. You can see it like a bubble around you that you just live in, this dream bubble. And nobody's driving that, nobody's doing that. It's made, it's created, and it can't be burst from within it, but it can be seen for the dream and the false that it is.